Morning, folks. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School, and I'm not at the Pathfinder Outfitters kitchen. However, I've brought part of the Outfitters kitchen and my normal backpack carry stuff to the woods. I've got a camp set up out here, and I thought what I'd do this morning is I would go ahead and cook some breakfast. I think we'll make a Western omelet this morning. I also wanted to show you a little bit about this bag because the multi-fuel stove is what I'm going to use this morning to cook with. And this IFAC bag is a perfect fit for that stove system for backpacking or for carrying in a small vehicle like this, or even in the back of your Jeep or your trunk of your car, your boat, your canoe, whatever. So we bought a bunch of these bags just to sell aftermarket for people who bought the stove. And they're gonna go up for like $9.95. They're gonna be under 10 bucks. But I really like this bag and the way it fits the components of the stove. So I thought real quick in this video before we start, we'll go over that. Stay with me. Okay, so I thought I'd give you kind of a bird's eye view of this bag. And this is the same bag that the IFAC comes in. It's exactly the same bag. However, the way it's set up is very conducive to carrying a stove. And the only thing you'd have to carry outside this pouch would be the large liquid fuel tank, the 1100 milliliter tank. And you could carry that in your pack. Obviously, it's got an O-ring seal on it, so it's not a big deal. But if you're gonna carry just a canister of ISO, you can carry it in this. If you're gonna carry propane, use the propane adapter. Again, you'd have to carry that propane tank separate from this. So when you open this bag, it's exactly like the IFAC bag where it opens in clamshell fashion. And the way I've got this set up, I've got a large can of ISO in here. I have the pump in case I want to use liquid fuel. I have the propane adapter, and then I have the stove rolled up. And all of that sits in this main compartment very comfortably. Now there's a couple pockets and straps in here that you could use to your advantage if you wanted to. You could shove this pump underneath the strap there to kind of hold it in place if you wanted to. And then you could set this off in the corner, set this in and set this in, and it would be fine just like that. And it would work just as well. Or you can just lay the components in there separately and that works fine as well. Now, one of the things I really like about this setup is the way this IFAC works is it has a flip out zippered pouch. This not only gives you a place to carry all of your spare components and tools for the stove, it also gives you a place just to stash an extra lighter. I've got one here in an Exotac sleeve. So I've always got a lighter to light this stove and a spare lighter in my kit as far as that goes as well. And that fits really neatly into that zippered pouch that kind of flips out of the way. And then you have another pouch here, and that's where I stick my windscreen. So the windscreen for my stove and its pouch sits right there for easy access. And you could even take it out of this, just slide it inside here if you wanted to, and not even have that extra pouch if that's what you chose to do, and will work just as well. And then you've got room in here if you wanted to put any other components or accessories that you were going to use with the stove. You've got extra room in here. You can put some of those components as well, but it all folds up really well in here, and it's nice and compact. And when you get it all put in, it sets nice. Whoa! Propane adapter rolling away down the four-wheeler bed there. Okay, once you get this in, you zip it right up. I got one of my straps sticking out. There we go. Fold this down and fold it over and lock it up. And it's just a perfect size bag for that entire stove kit. All right, so as you can see, I've got the opportunity to have extra peripheral gear with me because I have my side-by-side. So I can bring it out to a camp area, set up, and have a cooler, have a bin for dry storage, have tools like a larger shovel for digging, latrines and fire pits, things like that. Have my backpack, and it allows me to be more comfortable when I'm camping. And I can drive to where I'm going anywhere in this, pretty much 186 acre property I have, or any of the border edges, and walk from there of the 4,000 acre wildlife area. So it works out pretty good for that. So I just don't want everybody, I want to be transparent when I'm pulling things out that you're like, well, those things have to be in a refrigerator, because obviously you're not out here cooking steaks and things like that without being able to refrigerate something when it's 85 and 90 degrees out all day long. So I've got everything in my cooler over here off to the side. I got my stove here that we just talked about. I've got my open water cook set here and my skillet here. We're gonna cook up a Western omelet. Let's get after it. The other thing I would tell you about this stove is that you wanna make sure you've got it on a hard, fairly heat-proof surface when you cook on it, because it does put out some heat from the bottom as everything gets really hot. So you're not gonna put this on a plastic picnic table and cook with it. You're putting it on top of wood. you've got to be cognizant it could burn the wood or at least scorch the wood. So this heavy metal tailgate is a good bet, or the ground or a rock is always a good bet, but this will work just fine. This is not a real level surface, and we're going to try to cook an omelet today. We'll see how that works out, but hey, we can make anything work in a pinch if we need to. Now, you can season this stainless steel up somewhat, and it works fairly well, but if you've got a cooler already, or you've got a place you can store dry goods, there's no reason you can't either carry in some kind of a spray non-stick or some kind of lard or butter that you can put on this pan to help keep it from sticking. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get in the cooler here, and I've got just a jug here that I mix powdered milk in most of the time, but I can also use that to carry eggs that are cracked and just shake them up in the bottle, and I can put as many eggs as there I want for the trip. There's 3 in there now. You know, I could have put a dozen of them in there. Shook them up, keep them in the cooler, and it keeps me from having to carry eggs in the shells with me. Okay, so we're going to kind of level this stove up as best we can because we're not really on a good level surface. That's pretty good right there. That's not too bad. I just raised it up on one of these ribs. And we're just going to turn it down to a low heat. This ISO controls really well. You get into some of the liquid fuels, you can't control the heat near as well as you can, although heat works pretty good. But the ISO and the propane work better for controlled heat, I think. And we'll just put that there, and we'll kind of see how this stuff's running in here to see how off level we are. We're not too bad. We're still just a little bit off level, but not bad enough it's going to hurt anything. And so now we're just going to get our eggs in here. And that'll also give us a good gauge of how far off level we are by where these eggs are sitting in this pan. So we're going to let that go until we start to see some bubbles in the egg. Then we're going to add our ingredients for our Western omelet, which we'll talk about in a minute. I'm going to flip that dude half over and cook the rest and rock and roll. All right, I'll swing over here real quick, and you can see I've cut up some pre-cooked smoked chop over here for the meat. Cooked that right up on top of my cooler. Again, carrying that cooler has advantages. Now I'm just kind of leveling this out, shaking it around, seeing where I'm at. The bottom's cooking. I'm going to put a lid on here now to kind of cook the top. We'll get our chops put away. We've got some pico de gallo. Again, having a cooler gives us advantages to carry stuff that's pre-made. This pico de gallo is like a Tex-Mex mix of peppers, onions, things like that. Then I just got some old El Paso leftover cheese here from the last time the wife made tacos. We're going to use that too. Now, when you can see you've got the majority of the top of that cooked, and when you move it around, not much liquid moves, that's what you're looking for. So just kind of keep moving it around a little bit until you don't see liquid moving around the top and things are fairly well cooked through. Then you're ready to add your ingredients. Okay. Now, I'm going to get some of this pico sauce here. We're going to add it to the center here, just like that. I'm going to take our ham, sprinkle it on. Not ham exactly, pork. I guess they're kind of the same thing. Put that in. And then we're going to top that bad boy with some cheese. Looks like I got a little bee in there. Get out of there, you. Being sneaky. Now we got this pretty thick. Flipping this may be a trick. We'll find out here. Now I'm going to put the lid on this for just a minute to kind of heat those components up. Right before we flip it, I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit. Just like that. In about 2 minutes, we're going to flip that omelet off to one side. Okay, so got this dude about where we want it now. Let's just kind of lift up easy, roll this dude over just like that. Get this stuff kind of rolled over as well, and we just kind of scoot the whole thing over to the center and roll a little bit more as we go. You can see we got a perfect omelet there. We got nothing sticking. And we're in good shape there for sure. We just got so many ingredients packed into this bad boy. It's gonna be tough to get them all held in there. Put the lid on it, let it warm up all the insides of that thing, we'll be ready to rock and roll. All right, guys, well, thought we'd just eat this bad boy right out of the skillet. What do you think? Well, since I'm messing around. Oh, wow. That's amazing. All right. So, oh yeah, that thing is nice. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So, I'm gonna make some coffee and eat the rest of this. I appreciate you guys joining me for this video today. Just a quick how to make a Western omelet real quick on the trail, or out of the back of a foiler, back of a truck, car camping, canoe camping, whatever. You can carry a cooler. You can carry a lot of simple components to make some really, really good food. And it doesn't take a whole lot of cookware. You know, a skillet, a spatula, and a fork to eat it with. You're good to go. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, for our business, all our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. I'm going to break camp, drink some coffee, and get out of here. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.